Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds Transformation Healing Center. I came on today because I've wanted to do a card reading on the situation in Israel, specifically in Gaza, and I've actually just been too busy, and I went to see my mom for Mother's Day, which doesn't sound like that's like a unique thing for people to do. But this is actually the first time I spent Mother's Day with my mother who gave birth to me, and without anyone else, without my adoptive mother there, of course, I never spent Mother's Day with my mother ever. And at age 62, how old am I? Yeah, going to be 63. I got to spend Mother's Day with the woman who gave birth to me, who had to wait 48 years to hold her child because they took me away without her touching me. So um, it was in its way, I think, a deep healing for me and for my mom, and it was really good. So I've been busy, and I've taken you along for the ride because I do my morning videos wherever I happen to be, and you got a treat to see both my mother's garden. My mother lives, Bidenville, I call it, um, down in Delaware, and my brother-in-law lives in PA, Pennsylvania. So you got to see two different sort of like areas of down south, as far as I'm concerned. And then coming home to my beautiful garden, and it's raining today, and it's just it's just going to grow so fast, and everything's going to burst forth all at once. So it's going to be a real explosion of life here at the Seeds. And I think that there is that general sense. Uh, and I can't help but think getting uh, that a ceasefire or something like that, or just yeah, a stopping of this senseless cruelty would be another sort of expression of the light shining and healing. And what are we being asked at this time? Um, we're watching this, and what? Um, and it's not necessarily even the people that are doing it that we need to see, but just the whole idea that it needs to be a thing. And I don't know if I'm being clear. I'm not sure I can get clear on that because I'm not sure who's talking right now. Okay, so I am going to use the top deck because this is a serious subject and it deserves a serious deck. Okay, head and upside down. I don't have a big table here. Hold on one second. I don't want to. I don't want to throw the computer off the little desk I have here, but I do want to give these a good shuffle because this is a serious question. Now, I will say that I did do an in the news segment on Netanyahu right when it happened, pretty much. I think it was close, October, maybe November. Maybe I waited a little bit longer. I felt a real need to say something, but I also felt at the time a real need, a real fear that by, saying what I said, and actually should probably watch it before I say it again, because you don't always remember what you say. A lot of what comes through those readings is me. It's I take responsibility for saying it, but it is it's like channeled from your higher self or from a broader perspective. Thank you. Thanks. So my husband just brought in the laundry. I didn't have to climb the stairs. We have an old house and the stairs are wicked. My knees are like, really? Do you have to climb the stairs again? So, yeah, so when I heard what happened, it was terrible. But I knew how things were in Gaza. And um, there was a time when the Gazans had an opportunity to like go to the beach or something. I don't know. Anyway, many years ago, I saw a video of a little girl and her parents on the beach. It was like the first day they allowed them to go on the beach, and all these families went for picnics on the beach. And then a rocket from Israel hit the beach, and this little girl lost her whole family. And the picture of her, um, crying and screaming for her dad to wake up, and he wasn't ever going to wake up. That sort of seared a place in my heart that I had never really thought about that whole. I mean, about it, but it's not. That's not. I'm not a political scientist, And so you have your life, you have what you're doing, and those things sort of fade away. But there are certain things that you see that you can't unsee, and it sears it into your heart. And that was the like, what was the point of that? Like, what was the point of that? And um that's the kind of thing that's sort of the place where I came from when I started looking at this. Really, for me, it comes down to there is no reason for man's inhumanity to man. There just isn't. There's no reason. And really, what I think the people of Gaza are helping us to see, and God bless them, because if everything serves a purpose, and I do believe that's true, um, and no sacrifice, goes unrecognized. It's time for us to wake up. That to that over the millennium, human nature is so complex, and yet it's so simple, right? Love. Yeah. Just let's stop hurting each other, and let's take a breath and reevaluate the whole premise. All right, let's see what the cards say. So this is a reading on the situation in Israel and Gaza. And so we have the emperor here. The emperor. The emperor is the, supreme leader, the emperor. They get to decide what goes and what doesn't go, right? They decide the parameters of a situation. This is an Aries card, and the North Node is in Aries, and Chiron is in Aries. And as I sit here, is anything else in Aries? Mars is still in Aries, I think. Yep, Mars is in Aries. So there's a lot of Aryan energy right now. And it is the energy of the I am. And if we connect the energy of Aries to the situation, just in general, like what I became aware of when Uranus, for example, was in Aries, was the Arab Spring. And people rising up and saying, we want more, we want more, we want a better life, we want to have the opportunity to work, we want to have the opportunity to make a good living for our families, we want to have the opportunity to live. We see that in a place like Iran, where there is the women and young people and people who have lived under this oppression want to just like sort of breathe free, right? And it's all over the place. And that's part of I think the realization of Pluto in Aquarius, or the energy or the promise of Pluto in Aquarius, along with the energy of Uranus moving through Aries, right? And now moving, so woke everybody up. Their I am potential, right? Uranus waking everybody up to the fact that they count and that they matter. And now with Uranus moving through Taurus comes the awareness that of what we need, what is essential, right? What do we need to make it, to survive, to thrive, right? And that's not the same. Thriving does not mean you have 5 houses and 4 cars. That means you have 5 houses and 4 cars. Thriving means that you have your needs met, that you have meaningful work, that you have good relationships, right? Nothing is perfect. These things, none of this is perfect. So what is the parameters to express ourselves? What are the parameters that every human person deserves? I mean, we can see it happening in the labor movement as well, where the labor is starting to say, hey, wait a minute, you guys are making an awful lot of money and we're working really hard here. And so that's raising up too. This collectivity is raising up, but within that collectivity, we need to sort of decide where the line is. And I think that that's what is happening right now. We're determining where the line is. And that's been going on many levels. I mean, I guess that happens all the time, but as it, and I could be, I'm only 62, which sounds ridiculous in my head, but, um, I'm not a student of history. I'm sure that maybe in a previous lifetime, I sat in a place and thought the same thoughts about the situation we were in. It's a choice between love and fear, right? I mean, how angry do you have to be to want to hurt another person? How wounded do you have to be? Um, I keep like, I keep sensing the sense of like, this is like so Gemini in its nature, I think, because it's this duality, this position of situation of duality. And, Jupiter's going to be moving into Gemini and then followed by Uranus. So, um, we're going to be exploring these themes for a long time. But it does behoove us to start to talk to one another and to network, because that's also what Aquarius is about. The challenge is the feminine, the Queen of Cups. This is sort of the warrior, right? This is the warrior nature. And then what is crossing that but sensitivity, compassion. We could see this perhaps as the women and children who are, suffering because of, warlike actions. And it doesn't just have to be Gaza. It could be what's happening in the Sudan. It could be what's happening. I believe in Rwanda again, they're having some issues. And I apologize again, I only know what I know. So I'm sure somebody knows more than I do. But all right, let's see what's at the root. The Prince of Wands, the King of Wands. It's almost like they're struggling for the the dominant perspective. It's almost it almost feels like a little bit of a and well, no, I don't want to say that. It's not what I want to say. In the past, we have the High Priestess. This is a revelation. So has been revelation. There has been an uncovering of sorts in the past. I think what has happened here, what is being shown here, is that there's no real pussyfooting around. It is. And how long have we been saying it is what it is in our conversations? We've been saying that for a long time, and I do not remember ever saying that before. Like, I don't know, the 2010s. Um, and I think that what we're seeing is the intention, um, as plain as we can see. In the sky, we have Magus, I say, the magician. That's much easier for me. The magician with all these different like tentacles and hands and reaching out and reaching up and utilizing his intuition. It's a pretty powerful card. He has a sword and what does he have? In one hand he has a sword, a pen, or an arrow. Knowledge, cup, fire, the wand, and the earth. And it's in the sky. So this can mean a number of things. This to me says that you have the option. You have the option to take your abilities and your gifts and put it focused intention. Okay. In the immediate and make a choice. Choose light or darkness. Choose the light or choose the dark. And the dark is the place of fear. And the dark is the place of hatred and greed. Or choose a path of service, of reaching out, of putting out your hand, of sharing what's in your heart, by helping in whatever way you can, by shining your light, your Aries, your I am. And do it with compassion and understanding. That's what the Queen of Cups is about. This is power without compassion. We need power with compassion. We need power with compassion. And that's what's being shown. And how do we move that through the world? Power with compassion. Through the choices that we make. How it's seen, cruelty, domestic situation, new beginnings. Hopes and fears, Knight of Wands. This is about having to move, having to leave your home, maybe. An outcome. The Messenger, Princess of Wands. Tiger. She's got a tiger by the tail. Look at that. This is sort of youthful exuberance. I think this is talking about the student protests. The Chariot, yep. I think the Princess of Wands is the student protests. They have courage, they have conviction. This is the Pluto in Sag generation, guys. Those are the people who are graduating college and are on the college campuses for the most part. And Pluto and Sag people are, it's the truth. Like you have, like no more lies. Let's look at the truth of the situation and let's really look at it from a real, like a spiritual place. This generation is a very spiritual generation. They can tap into that. And yet they're, as a generation, their direction of their evolution as a generation is Gemini, and so they have to learn that there are two sides to everything, and that they have to learn how to converse instead of just declare, which they can do because it's fire. It's like, listen to me, right? Fire is about listen to me, and air is about, listening, and weighing and measuring, right? Anyway, we have the Chariot here, which means that this student movement is a big shift and a big movement, Let's see what's underneath. The Ace of Cups, love, the Star, hope, and the Six of Pentacles, success, balance, fairness, equanimity in resources. This is really what the Aquarian age is supposed to be about, guys. These three cards. So as we look at this time and this moment, I think it's imperative, at least from these cards, is that we follow the lead of the children here. We have to follow and be courageous enough to say enough is enough, and we have to stop this insanity. And things are going so quickly now, and we can just, in fact, I was thinking of doing because the next taroscopes and stuff that I do are going to be for June, and half the year is over, right? The first half. And I thought, well, this would be a time when it would be good to like evaluate what that was and some of the things that came up with that. Um, so I think I'm going to do something on something like that. I don't exactly know what it looks like. But we really do need to, out of the mouth of babes here, we have the power to do it. The I am really is about, taking hold of your own agency, not to do not to do something against somebody else, but to do something for yourself that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody else has to lose. It's not about winning and losing. It's not it's about being happy. It's about being at peace. It's about feeling love. If your heart is closed down, your power center is closed down. And it's very difficult to watch what's going on. It would be easy enough to shut down in a way. But you also don't have to sit in it and think about it all the time and get obsessed with it. It's there to show us something. Now do something about it, right? Then do something about it. And some people can do things much more directly than other people. They might have a job that includes them bringing peace to the situation or some resolution. But for the rest of us, really just being your loving self, being your best self, putting the vibe out in your environment will help to raise the vibration of peace and harmony, And so it's okay to know, but don't sit there. You have to balance it. And some people may not need to know. There are some people out there that don't need to know what is going on necessarily, because they'll raise their vibration in their own way and for their own reasons. Not everybody knows what's going on. Does that mean that, we're riding the wave and we must go with the flow, and we need to help each other move through this time to heal. It's about healing. And you can go and be a doctor and go to Gaza and watch the suffering and not do much about it because the things aren't getting in. They don't have water, food, or medical. What are we doing? Right? It's time to stop. And so this, in a way, is the end of the line. There's also the sense of the need for suffering and the need for not sacrifice so much, the need for a martyr, perhaps, and the need for a savior, perhaps. We are the people we've been waiting for, guys. And we have to step up. We have to make the best choices we can make, taking into consideration how every choice we make does have a consequence. The beginning and the end are the same. Intention is important. Coming from your heart is vital. Your heart field is your most powerful field. So if you want to affect the world, you will affect it way more with your heart than you will with your head. Way more. because that's what we're here to learn. We're here to learn love. And that's what I know. It's so green outside. Reminds me of Ireland. Actually, I think this was the week. I think this was yes, Sunday, I think was the day I left to go to Ireland. It was the 19th. It was my anniversary. And my husband drove me to the airport. I went to Ireland. And here we are a year later. I feel the healing of that. I do. And I hope you feel it too. And the healing of spending Mother's Day with my mother. And the healing of spending the last few days with my mother, Angelina. And playing her songs on my phone that she loved, that she would sing to me or that her father would sing to her. And then a few songs I know she loved, and a few songs I know that I loved and that were part of my story. What a long, strange trip. So, what I want to leave you with this reading is that the only true healer is love. And it's so easy to get angry at each other and call each other names, especially when you believe something so deeply is wrong or that you're so right. A lot of times, many times in my life, I've had people say to me, "Are you happy you were right?" And I'm never happy, and I was right. Because usually what I see is, I see what's going to happen, and I know it's going to be painful. Um, and you warn people off to things sometimes, and until they're ready, but we're ready. We're ready. We're ready to see. We're seeing it. We're ready to change it. We're changing it. What's that expression? We were born ready. Ready or not, here we go. Oh my goodness. It's been oh, what a world, right? What a world we live in. And we create it. We're co-creating with spirit. Let's create something wonderful. Let's create something based on what we love instead of what we fear. Choosing love means that you are not choosing fear. And what we focus on is what we bring into the world, especially if we see it and we have an emotion around it. So co-create well, guys. Co-create well. All right, I'm gonna go, and I have some things I have to get done, including the laundry that's sitting on my bed here. Have yourself a great afternoon, and thank you for following me and listening this far, if you have. And if you haven't, thanks for stopping by. If you'd like to help support me, you can do it with a thumbs up. You can subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to me. And I do have a Patreon page if you want to support me in that way. And I hope to see you in the morning. I don't know. I don't know. I think the rain will be over by tomorrow morning. So it should be nice and lush in the morning. for my morning astrology. All right, guys, you take care. Much love. Namaste.